We're going tomorrow there. Tomorrow morning. Let's do the procedure at NYU.
You can have the gamma ray,
Gamma, they call it the gamma now. You better walk away from it. There's no fresh I hope it. So I'll get there around 9 o'clock. And they wanted me at first, 5:30. And they called me today and they said,
who's going to take you that early?
Talks about Saita in last week's Pasha.
They said 9 o'clock.
You take the train there.
So I'll take the train then.
First Avenue.
I'll leave it on 8 or so.
You have to go to First Avenue.
Right, so I figure if I take the
It was for you. It was for your.
34 and then take the bus to First Avenue, I'm right there. And then Dr. Olenoff is sort of in the back.
Your mental feller.
Who's Orinoff?
Dr. Olenoff?
Yeah, who's
Oh, my shot. He's the older.
He sometimes comes to, but not always.
Mind is okay.
They can check on you
He
another
doesn't.
MRI.
He's not doing anything.
No.
He's tired.
They do it before,
He must be in his
And then
80s.
next year, the year after,
6 months.
you go for an examination.
In 6 months,
He was fired.
I'll take another MRI
See what happens.
and see,
Silent, yeah.
send it to
Yeah.
them. Or, have them electronically.
Gotta do that because it's a very that threatens your existence.
Yeah, so I'll go to, let's see where I go.
Good evening, how are you? We have books. We have
Where's Rabbi Azar?
No, on the other side.
Good job now, Ashgacha John. Hashem. Okay, Rabbi said.
No.
Let's go.
Behind
I think Sasso was supposed to be here.
Yeah, I think we should learn some Tekias Shofar.
Tough cake.
Let's learn Tov Kuf Pei Hey.
Hey.
Rabbi says Simin Tov Kuf Pei Hey,
Wait,
which
what
is
it?
page in the soft covered booklets. It's page
What?
test. Page test in the soft cover booklets.
Page test?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, Baruch
Okay.
Hashem.
That's tough cake.
On page test?
Yeah.
Oh, so we have different.
It says,
slightly different.
You're right.
Seder
So we,
Hatekiot. Seder, you want,
oh, so we all have different ones. So
do
the
you want,
soft cover have different pages.
you want the Tekiot?
I think there are ones with the
What-
Nakudis,
what
without
type?
out the Nakudis.
I don't have no cookies with this.
I have.
The Seder keeps me Yusuf.
Yeah.
I'm a good.
Those that don't have the Kudis, it's page Ches. Right? Or page Zion.
Zion without the.
Page Zion. With the Nakudis is page Tes.
Mhm.
Seder Hatkiyas Miyushav. So Rabbi say, Rosh Hashanah is fast coming up. Started Elul already. Feel the Elul wind blowing. Nila Doidi V'Doidi Li. So remember to check our tefillin and our mezuzahs and get ready. Our two sets of Tekias that we blow on Rosh Hashanah. The first is called Tekias Miyushav. The second is called Tekias Mu'umad. Standing Tekias, sitting Tekias. It's important to be familiar with the terminology. The Tekias Miyushav are the Tekias which we blow after Kriyas HaTorah. As soon as we finish the Haftarah, we hold up the Sefer Torah held up by the Bima, and the Baal Tekiah goes up and he says the various psukim and then the brachas, and that is Tekias Miyushav. After those Tekias are blown, the Sefer Torah are put back into the Aron Kodesh, and we start Hinini Oni Mimas. We start the and Ashrei. We go to Shmones Musaf. During Tfilas Musaf, we also hear Tekias. Those Tekias are called Tekias Mu'ummad. Now we're going to understand soon why those are called Miyushav, these are called Mu'ummad, very soon. So number one, he says, Tzarich l'tkoimo, the Tekias Miyushav, right? This is a discussion about Tekias Miyushav. Tzarich l'tkoya Mu'ummad. You have to blow it while you're standing. The Baal Tekias should stand. Shenemer yoim p'shua yeh lachem. Or lahalan oimer, and it says in a pasuk in Parshas Emor, usfartem lachem by sfiras oimer, you should count for you. Ma lachem, just like the word lachem, ha'amr sham, which is stated over there by sfiras oimer, mu'ummad, you're supposed to say sfiras oimer standing. For the reasons which are explained over there, Commission is Bar, B'simin Taf Pei Tes, which is Hilchos Sfiras Oimer. Afkan, so to over here, when it says Yoim Tu Yeh Lachem, the Lachem over here, Lachem, has the same halacha that the Baal Tekias should stand while blowing shofar. Olaficha, therefore, Le'yismech al Shum Davar, you shouldn't lean on anything. Being Shinat Lo Yisidavar, Shesamach Alav Hayin Shein Zamida L'smicha, someone Baal Tekias leans on the bimah. And a manner that he's leaning, that if you pull the bima away or fall, that's not called a midah, that's called smith. Michoel makim, so if you just put your hands there lightly, it's not an issue, but it depends how strong you are, how strong you're leaning. If not only were you being soymech, but you even were actually sitting, yatsa, you are yoytza b'diyem. Ve'ein tzarich lachzav etzkoyem u'umid, you don't need to re-blow again. Standing, family Shamidazo, Eina Ela Medivrei Seifim, Quinshis Barmas and Meches and Tapetas. This whole drasha of Lachem is an asmachta. It's not a drasha gemura that we call a real drasha that's midha. This is Chazal found meaning for their words in Divrei Torah, but it's not mechayivas min Torah. It's only mechayivas mit Rabban. So. Therefore, we don't have to repeat it again. Hashoyim and Tekias, those that are hearing the Tekias, Sif Beis, Af b'shadayin lo yotzidei chivasan, Af b'kein einon tzrichin lamed, they do not need to stand by Tekias. So Rabbi say, what do we do in shul? Do we stand or we don't stand by Tekias?
We stand.
We all stand. Everyone knows that we stand. But the Shulchan Aruch just told us you don't need to stand. So what's going on? So the inyan is that the halacha is you don't need to stand. The minig is that the oilam stands. So that's covered. The mitzvah covered. That's the oilam stands. So that is not chiyuv min adin to stand. It's a minig to stand. Someone sitting, you have nothing to tell him. It's not a halacha. The minig that the oilam stands. But there is a halacha that Baal Tekias has to stand. So because the oilam is allowed to sit, traditionally you're allowed to sit, and people did sit, and at some point the mini became to stand. So therefore the first set of Tekias are called miyushav. Tekias miyushav because you do not need to stand. It's called Tekias miyushav, sitting Tekias. That's the first set of Tekias that we blow right after the Haftorah is finished, after Tekias HaTorah, before Musaf. The Tekias that we blow during Shemona Esrei are called Mu'ummad. Why is that? So Koydem Kol, you could give an easy reason because Shemona Esrei you stand, but that's not the real reason, because reality is that the original Tekias Mu'ummad, it's still today varies minhagim. The Iker Takana was to blow on during Chazaras Hashatz, not during the quiet Shemona Esrei, the Tefillah Balachash. And there's still tequilas of Ashkenaz, I believe, that only blow during Chazaras Hashatz, not during the Tefillah Balachash. However, there were other minhagim and that also blew on Tekias during the quiet Tefillah Balachash. So, if the original minig takana was to blow on Chazaras Hashatz, If Mela was belachash, you would say you stand during Shemana Esrei. We call it Tekias moment because you're standing.
Okay.
But Chazaras Hashatz,
You could be sitting.
that's it. So the answer is because there's an opinion which says that you're supposed to stand by Chazaras Hashatz. And many people are mahader to stand by Chazaras Hashatz because of that opinion. So that's why, according to many opinions, it's called Tekias moment. Other people understand it's Tekias moment because you stand because these are the more important Tekias. These Tekias are Midaraisa, and the first Tekias are only Midarabanan. But the Alter Rebbe and the Magen Avraham and other poskim didn't learn that way. They learned that the first Tekias Miyushav were Deraisa. So why the second one's called Mu'umid? It's called Mu'umid because there is a Yesh Oimrim during Chazaras Hashatz. You should stand. Because of this Yesh Oimrim, so it's called Mu'umid. Those are the Tekias Miyushav or Mu'umid. So Min Hadin, you do not need to stand by any of the Tekias. Only the Baal Tekiah has a chiyuv to stand. So if Gimel Noigim Letzkoyel Abima b'Makom Shekayin, the minig is to blow. Where in the shul should you blow? The minig is to blow on the bima, because that's where you make stu Kriyas HaTorah. V'roi litin Letzkoyel Letzadik v'Hogon. V'vad shiloi hey machlokes v'dam. Machlokes is worse. Shouldn't make any machlokes, but it's roi to give. This brings in the shame, brought the shame, the Sefer Chassidim, Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, that it's right to give it to Tzadik v'Hogan to blow. Yes. Oh, you made it. That's why it was customary in Chassidic circles that the Chassidim travel to the Rebbe to hear the Shofar from the Rebbe. They wanted to hear the Shofar from the Rebbe here in Tekias. Wherever shul it is, you try to give someone who's a roi. But what happens if the Rav of the shul or the Erlich person he can't blow? You have to give it to someone else. I heard over how the first year, I heard over from eyewitnesses that the first year when the Rebbe became Rebbe, first Rosh Hashanah, after he formally became a Rebbe, because there was a year in between. So there was a Rosh Hashanah in between that he wasn't yet officially, did not take on he was refusing to be Rebbe.
Yeah.
But later on, the first year that he actually was the first Rosh Hashanah after he became Rebbe, which is Tafshin Yud Beis, it was still 1951, Tafshin Yud Beis. So the one who had blown was supposed to blow was a Rabbi Tenenbaum, who was the manal of the Mesivta, and maybe already then, I'm not sure, maybe later on, but he was a younger man and he was going to blow, but the Rebbe was going to say the brachas. The Rebbe said he'll say the brachas. So the Rebbe was by the bima and the Rebbe said the brachas, and after he said the brachas, Rabbi Tenenbaum took the shofar and he put it in front of the Rebbe.
For him to blow.
The Rebbe should blow. The Rebbe's Rebbe now.
Yeah.
And the Rebbe, no, now what's this? And he just stood there like a stone wall. He didn't, motionless, didn't look forward, didn't say anything. There was no choice. The Rebbe picked it up and started to blow. And then the Rebbe always blew shofar, miyushiv. The Rebbe would always blow miyushiv. Rabbi Tenenbaum would blow, this year Rabbi Tenenbaum will all the years. So I heard over from someone who heard from Rabbi Tenenbaum. Rabbi Tenenbaum said how it took a lot of courage for him to do that. The Rebbe and they do in front of the Rebbe that you should do such a move, and that the Rebbe is talking to and trying to get your attention. He's ignoring the Rebbe, but he felt that if he doesn't do this, it's going to be over. If the first Rosh Hashanah, the Rebbe, quote unquote, gets away with it and he's not going to blow, so then that's the way it's going to be. The Rebbe doesn't blow shofar. He didn't want to let such a thing happen. The Rebbe has to blow. This is the way.
Every Rebbe know how to blow shofar?
I hope. I don't know. Not every.
Have to check
Depends.
it.
Yeah,
Well, that
depends.
wasn't the question.
The Frierdiker Rebbe had a stroke the last few years. He didn't blow.
He couldn't.
But before, earlier on, he blew when earlier years. But yeah, the Rebbe, the Chabad Rebbe's blew shofar.
No.
I think they all blew. I don't know about everyone, but I think they. He had a number of shofars that he had passed down. Some say one of them was from the Maharal, and one was because they came from the Maharal family. The Alter Rebbe was a great grandson, a great grandson of the Maharal.
Michoel?
Yeah, and
There's the Balatans.
the Balatanya. Yeah,
So he had the Maharal Shofar?
I don't know the history. There was a number of shofars the Rebbe used. One was from the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Rebbe. There was a shofar he used for his father's shofar. Then he had his own shofar. He had a number of shofars, and he switched around with various shofars for various Tekias he was used. Now, Sif Dalet. Koidim sheyitzke, before one blows shofar, Yivarich, one should make a bracha mu'umad standing. Not only does the Baal Tekias stand, but the bracha is also standing. Asher kitshanu b'mitzvahs of tzivanu l'shmaya kol shofar. V'lo yemer, don't say bikel shofar. The mashma l'tzayis l'kel shofar. It seems that you're saying you should listen. How do you say that in English? Like you should. Tzayet is like to hearken, to follow through with the instructions of the shofar. No, you're supposed to just listen to the shofar. You don't say with a base. Well, however, lama imevarchin l'ktpay shofar. How come we don't make a bracha to blow shofar, not to listen to shofar? Shatkiya eina ikir hamitzvah. Halashmias koil shofar ikar mitzvah. Like the din is Tekias v'leishama kol shofar leyatza. Someone blew shofar, but he didn't hear it. Let's say he was wearing earplugs.
Yeah.
He didn't hear the shofar. Lo yatza. He's not the yatza. Because the ikar is not the blowing. The ikar is the hearing shofar. We don't have to blow shofar. We have to hear shofar. Michoel makim still in avar. If someone transgressed, or he made a mistake, or beirech and he did bench litkoya the shofar, or he said without a lamed, he said al tekiya shofar. Either way, yatza, he is yoitza. So although that's not the best way to say the nusach, you are yoitza b'diavad if you say that nusach. Because you are blowing the shofar. You are blowing the shofar, but it's best to bring out clear to what the bracha is.
If you get a new shofar, you say a shechion.
Oh, very good. We're going to discuss the shechianu right this minute. Sif hey. Achar bracha zu yivar shechianu. After you make this bracha, you have to make a shechianu. Why? She mitzvah haba mizman luzman. Any mitzvah which comes from time to time, you make a shechianu on it. Ve'echad tekias la'atzmai. Ve'echad mi sheyatza yidei chevasai. Ve'tekias lohitzachayim de chevasan. B'varashtei b'achzina. Whether you're blowing for yourself, or whether you were already yoitza and you're blowing to be moitzi other people, you always make these two brachas. L'shmaya kol shofar and shechianu. However, he clarifies when is this the case that if you were yoitza already, you still make the bracha if you're blowing for others? Kisheina shemeya yedei levarich, avimu yedei levarich yivarich ba'atzmai, v'lo yishem yishakra yatzei chevasai. This is a klal gadol which he mentioned a number of times in the shiurim. Let's understand this. If you were already yoitza mitzvah, how could you be moitzi someone else the mitzvah? Or the bracha. They don't know how to. You say a bracha for someone and they say amen. Kiddush. You already yoitza kiddush. How are you able to make kiddush again to moitzi someone else? How can you do that? You already yoitza. If you did not hear kiddush yet, so you could moitzi yourself and moitzi all those who are here. But how could you? What is the reason how? If you were yoitzi, you moitzi other people. The lashon chazal is achapi sheyatza moitzi. Even though you were yoitzi something, you're allowed to be moitzi something.
What's
So
the
what premise, what basis is that? Isn't that what koyach do you have to give over your mitzvah to someone else? So the answer to that is Kol Yisrael Arevim Zelazar. It's not just a nice song, it's not just a drasha, it's a halachic concept, which also is an inspirational idea. It's a halachic concept, a legal halachic concept, that we are all guarantors for each other. What does that mean? We did not only accept at Matan Torah, accept for ourselves the mitzvahs. We also accept that we are going to guarantee mitzvahs for others, that we, Klal Yisrael, as a unit, we're going to keep Torah mitzvahs. So since we accepted, we became an arev, what's called, we guaranteed, guarantor. So we have an achrayis for others. Even if I was yoytza mitzvah, I have an achrayis that my neighbor should do the mitzvah. If my neighbor needs to be yoytza the mitzvah, I can help him do it. So based on the idea of arvus, that is the halachic basis for afal pishi yotza mighty, that you could be mighty someone else even though you're yoytza. And the same thing goes with a bracha. I could say the brachas, let's say in our situation, of the Tekias Shofar, l'shmaya kel Shofar, and the shachiyanu, I could say it for someone else if he didn't say it yet. So I'm blowing for him, I could blow for him, and I could say brachas for him. However, one caveat over here. The din of arvos is only b'diavad, not l'chatchila. What does that mean? It means it's like this. Let's talk about this when it comes to a regular guarantor. How does a regular guarantor work when you have a lender and a borrower? So the lender says, I don't want to lend you unless you have a guarantor. Bring me an arev that's going to guarantee the loan. So we'll write in the shtar that you have a guarantor. If you can't pay up, I'm going to go after the arev. So the guy brings an arev, is chaver, so I'll sign for you. I'll be the arev. So when it comes the time for the loan to be repaid, who does the malva, the lender, go to demand payment first? Obviously to the leiva, to the borrower. If the borrower says, I don't have money, I can't pay, then he goes to the arev. Otherwise, you go to the arev first. He says, what are you coming to me? First go to the leiva. The leiva doesn't have, okay, then my duty is to be I'm the arev, whether I like it or not, I accept it upon myself. The arvus is too late, I'm a guarantor. So the same thing is the way that Alter Rebbe, this is an explanation he gives in Hilchos Kiddush, the same thing works by arvus by mitzvahs. That we can make brachas for someone who was not yet yoytza, even though you were yoytza already, you heard the brachas and you heard shofar, you can say brachas, because of the din of arvus. But lachatchila, you should pay back, the person should pay back his chayiv to the Eibishter himself. Because we all owe a chayiv to the Eibishter. We have an obligation to do to Torah mitzvahs, to keep his mitzvahs. We accept it upon ourselves to keep the mitzvahs. The Eibishter says, do the mitzvah. So someone else is going to do it for us. That's the arev. Someone else doing it for us is a guarantor. You don't go to the arev first. Hashem first demands from the person himself that he's chayiv in the mitzvah. In the bracha, you say the bracha. Ein toivin is the arev tchila. You don't go to the arev first. You first go to the person. You yourself are chayiv to say the bracha. So when you are yidei levarich, if someone knows how to make brachas, he knows how to lashon kodesh. He knows how to say brachas. Let him say the brachas. He doesn't know how to. Arvis, Arvis kicks in and you do it for him.
He doesn't have to understand the bracha.
If he understands basically what he's saying, basically what he's saying.
Yes, I understand.
Basics, yeah. That's what he says over here, in middle of Sipay. Remember, when can someone who was yoytza ready might see someone else and say brachas for him? The one who's listening is not going to make a bracha. Who yedei levarich, yevarich ba'atzmai. Well, a yishma don't hear the brachas mishakayat. By the way, when it comes to women hearing the brachas, women hearing shofar, you definitely are not allowed to make the brachas. Even if they don't know how to make the brachas, you can't say it for them. The reason is because Tekias shofar is a mitzvah say shazman grama. Women are potter from it. However, women accepted upon themselves the mitzvah Tekias shofar as a minig. They do it, and all women come to hear shul, or they have women Tekias and things like that where they hear Tekias. A beautiful thing. That's a good thing. However, because they are not obligated in the mitzvah of Tekias shofar, you don't have any arvos to make sure they do it. So though you can blow Tekias for them, you can't say the bracha for them, even if they don't know how to say it. So if they know how to say it, even if it's men, they should say it, and you should blow. Not everyone's about Tekiah. You're about Tekiah, but they know how to make the brachas. Let them read inside the brachas, say the brachas. The ladies, they definitely need to say the brachas. And if they don't know how to say the brachas, you still can't do it for them because arvos doesn't kick in. There's no arvos for something that they're not obligated in. Arvos says I have to guarantee someone else's obligation, but the women l'chatchila were never obligated in it. So even if they're not Yudei Levarich, I can't make the bracha for them. I can never make brachas for women or someone else who's potter from the mitzvah.
Megillah is the same.
No. Megillah afhein hoyu ba'iseh hanes.
So no.
They're exactly the same like the men. It is man grama, but indeed there are certain mitzvah seishas man grama that they are chayiv in like the men. Afhein hoyu ba'iseh hanes. Also Shabbos, like Kiddush Shabbos, they're chayiv like the men. Everything exactly like the men. Benching. Many mitzvahs that they are chayiv and just like that. All Shabbos, Yom Tif, Pesach, right? Matzah is a mitzvah seishas man grama. Morer, Sipi Tisasrayim, they're chayiv and all these things like the men.
But she has to say the bracha. Megillah, for example.
No, she could hear the bracha from the Baal.
She can hear.
Right, but if someone's making a Megillah laning, someone's wife didn't hear.
Right.
He comes home, his wife wants to hear. He already heard in shul. She needs to make the bracha. If she says, I don't know, I didn't go to Beis Yaakov, I don't know how to read, you can't make the bracha for her.
Because he made it.
Because he made it already. Now he made it already. He was yaitza already. He was yaitza. I'm sorry, but Megillah, no. I made a mistake. But Megillah, she's chayiv. He could say for her. Mistake. But Megillah,
that's an exception.
she's chayiv. He could say it for her. She doesn't know. If she knows, she should say, just like any other man who knows. Same thing with Kiddush, Rabbi said. People don't realize that by Kiddush. If the person knows how to say Kiddush, you shouldn't make Kiddush for them.
Should not.
If you already were Yaitz. If you already made Kiddush, someone else comes in, and they say, I didn't hear Kiddush yet. If they know how to make Kiddush, let them make it themselves. If they don't know how, it's a struggle for them to make Kiddush, then you make for them. Because arvos. Well, other than that, they should themselves make Kiddush.
It's in the mitzvah shazman grama.
It is, but they're chayiv in all things. Again, that's one of the exceptions.
Yeah. Why is that an exception?
Because
based upon what reason?
Based on Zachar v'Shamar. Because they were, because women are chayiv. Remember, all the loisas says in the Torah. All 365 loisas says they're chayiv, and except for not cutting the beard, and they're chayiv in all the loisas. So that is called Shomer, the Shomer of Shabbos. Shomer Sima Shabbos. Shomer Sima Shabbos Akashi de Chayiv.
So
now the Zocher, we know the first Aseret Adibris, it says Zocher Sima Shabbos Akashi. The second set of Aseret Adibris that we just recently read a few parashas ago in Parashas Vastanon, it says Shomer Sima Shabbos Akashi. What did the Eibush say? Zocher is Shomer. Chazal say Zocher v'Shomer v'Dibur Echad Nemru. They're both said, and they're both said at the same time. Hashem said at the same time. Vaschan is just a repetition. Moshe is telling them over what happened. So he repeats over that Saras Adibris, but it's slightly different. Zachar v'Shamar v'Dibur Echad Nemru. So since Zachar and Shamar v'Dibur Echad Nemru, whatever applies to Shamar applies to Zachar. You can't differentiate the halachas between the two. Can't split it. So the women, they're chayiv in Shamar. Keeping Shabbos, watching Shabbos, keeping Shabbos, holy, they're not allowed to do malacha. It's a loisasa ko malacha. Loisavaru eish b'chol mei shezeichen miyam HaShabbos. They're chayivin. So they're automatically chayivin the zocher of Shabbos.
So therefore,
The zocher is the
Shabbos,
is the kiddush, the lachamishna, the suda, oinik, covered all the niyani Shabbos. So it comes out the halacha. When it comes to Shabbos, it says, by kol ma'isa Shabbos, ish v'isha shavin. There is absolutely no difference between men and women regarding any aspects of Shabbos. Or Yom Tov for that matter. They're exactly the same chiyuvim.
So
then there are specific other dinim that they're chayivin also, like Megillah afhein hoyi b'yisanes, Talakoisis afhein hoyi b'yisanes. There's various other things. Matzah, we learn out from a different limud from chametz, that they're chayivin chametz, they're chayivin matzah. Yeah. So there are many mitzvah shazman grammar that they are chayivin. They are chayivin. And those ones that they're chayivin, there is arvus.
the rules of arvus.
The rules of arvus apply.
If they don't,
There are some that want to taina that there's no arvus from men to women. There's some a discussion at Achroinim whether men took on achrayis for women. Even if the women are chayiv,
I mean, when it said klais or rim, so initially the women were.
the men take on achrayis for women's mitzvahs. Maybe only women for each other, but not men for
How
women.
do we know when it's
Achleikas achrayim in this discussion. But if I'm not mistaken, it's clear from the Alter Rebbe in many places that they're the same. Men and women are the same in this issue. The Dagam Ravava, the Native Yehuda, brings up this discussion whether a man can see his wife kiddush if he already heard, because there's no arvus from men to women. Lamaisa, everyone makes kiddush for the wives, right? So
sure.
you could be yoitz.
And sukkah, some women don't say the both relation to sukkah because they're still not chayah. Some.
So this is a very big difference between Sephardim and Ashkenazim, because it starts off with a machlokes of the Rambam and the Balei Tosos. The Rishonim, the Sephardim, the Rambam was a Sephardi. I know that Ashkenazim don't like that so much, but the Rambam was a Sephardi, right?
No choice.
they learning the Rambam all day. So now,
It's the preferred sefer by Ashkenaz. The Rambam.
By Chabad.
Chedusha, all the Chedushim on the Rambam.
So now the Rambam held that women cannot say a bracha. Not only women, anyone who's potter from a mitzvah and does a mitzvah, you can't say bracha. How can you say a sheket shalom says of tzivanu? You weren't commanded to do this mitzvah. So he held in allowed to say it, and it made sense. He now allowed to say it. However, this was a machlokes rishonim. However, Tosis Rabbeinu Tam brought in Tosis says that no, mitzivanu means that Klal Yisrael was commanded with these mitzvahs, not that we specifically were commanded. Klal Yisrael as a whole,
addressed to the male population, was addressed to male and female.
in general,
That's
Klal
including the
Yisrael was
women.
given mitzvahs. They happen to be potter from mitzvahs, but they could say the word mitzivanu, which means Klal Yisrael was commanded. So anyone who's not only women, anyone who's potter from a mitzvah for some reason is potter from a mitzvah, and he does the mitzvah. By the way, he gets schar. The schar is just not as great. It's schar ve'eni mitzvah. He says not as great. The Gemara is a discussion whether it's greater or not. The halacha is it's not as great as someone who's mitzvah because someone who's commanded has more of the chrayis on him. He's sweating more because he knows he needs to do it. Someone who doesn't, he does it, but that's a more relaxed way. So his schar, he doesn't have as much tircha as the one who feels the obligation to do it. So the Eini Mitzvah Oisa gets schar for the mitzvah, not as much. So then is a machlok. So we have the Rambam says that women are not allowed, women or anyone who's part of a mitzvah cannot and does a mitzvah cannot say v'tzivanu, cannot say the bracha, not allowed. The Rabbeinu Tam says, brought in Tosis, you're allowed. He's a French Rabbanim from the Ashkenaz Rabbanim. What does this boil down in Shulchan Aruch? The Mechaber, Rabbi Yosef Cairo goes like the Rambam and says that women and anyone else who's part of the mitzvah cannot make a bracha. This is brought up many times in Shulchan Aruch. And the Ramah, Moshe Isilis, on his notes on the Shulchan Aruch, obviously he lived in Krakow. Rabbi Yosef lived in Tzfas, right? They lived at the same time.
Yeah.
And the Ramah wrote they're based on Tosfos. They could, and that the minhag is that they do say in Ashkenaz, they do say a bracha. So the minhagim were different.
What
It's Sfard and Ashkenaz. What Chabad is Ashkenazim, so they make the
But a
bracha.
lot of
Make the
stuff
bracha.
they call that Sephardim.
Huh?
A lot of things, Tfilos, they do that Sephardim.
It's true, but in this Indian they like the Ashkenaz.
They go like,
That was anything with certain things of Kabbalah. So, anyways, so this is an issue up till today. Up till today, Sephardim do not. I write. Am I correct? Sephardim do not make a bracha. Your wife does, right? You said
What?
she's making the brachos.
His wife is
And
Ashkenaz.
what?
Your wife's Ashkenaz,
My wife Ashkenaz, but she do Sephardim.
so she doesn't make the brachot. Okay, Sephardim don't make the brachot, and Ashkenazim, the women do make the brachot. The Leisha Basukah, I think they Leisha Basukah, they
Yeah.
do
Most women do. It's a big mitzvah. Chavivutam.
Yeah, but they're not.
saying the
No,
brachot.
super.
You can't say they're not.
But
No.
Right. So when they sit in it, Sephardi women cannot make the bracha. Ashkenazim,
Ashkenaz woman obligated to sit in the sukkah?
no,
No.
Nobody's obligated.
Mitzvah Shafan Rum.
Right.
They would with Sivan, no.
they're potter, but the women like to go in and sit, and they sit. But
They gotta serve the meal.
so Ashkenaz women make the bracha.
Take the bracha?
They do, and most Sephardim, I think there are some Sephardi groups that maybe do, because maybe certain, depends which countries, but most of them don't make the bracha.
But they hear it.
They could hear,
Say
yeah, and
amen.
they could say amen here, but they can't say their own bracha, because according to the Rambam and the
Tzivon.
Mechaber, Shulchan Aruch,
Tzivon.
bracha vatala, because you're not
Because they did
obligated.
not
How
mitzvah.
can you say v'tzivanu? This is that.
קשה להיות יהודי. קשה לשמח.
When you have faith, not how.
Okay. Now, Sivav. After what made these two brachas, the Shmaya Koil Shofar and Shechianu, Yitka you should blow Tashrat Gimel Pamim 3 times, Tashat Gimel Pamim Teragim. What are these Rosh Tevison? The Teruah, Tekias and Teruah both start with a tough. So you have to find something else. The Tekias is a tough. What are we going to do for the Teruah? So it says Reish.
For the Reish. Slip
Yeah.
in the Reish.
Some places have both of them in abbreviation. They put, instead of the Tekias, instead of a tough, they do a kuf. So you see Kashrak, Kashak, and Karak. But it's all the same idea. This is that we do Tekias, Shvarim, Teruah, Tekias 3 times. Then we do 3 sets of Tekias, Shvarim, Teruah, Tekias, like will be explained in a later simon. Now, Mishan is established, someone has a suffix in Shama Kol Shofar being Mishan Shalosh Hashanah. He's not sure that I hear Shofar Rosh Hashanah. Maybe I didn't really hear it properly, I'm not sure. Shehu Menat Torah, the first day of Rosh Hashanah is Menat Torah. Tzarech L'tzkayeh, he needs to blow again. Hawalo Yivarech, Shesafik Brachas L'Hakam. Vimu Yesheni, if it's the second day of Rosh Hashanah, She'ini Elam D'Vrei Sefer Tam D'Rabban. And so you don't need to, and you're not sure that I properly hear the Tekias or not. So we have our 3 kolalim we just read. Safek min hatayra l'chumra, Safek midrabanan or midivri sefer l'kula, and Safek brachas l'hakol. Why Safek brachas are we lenient? When you're not sure, let's say I'm not sure, did I make a drink on the seltzer or not? I cannot make another shahakal. Safek brachas lahakil, to be lenient, not to say another bracha. Reason is that what is the third aseres hadibris?
Say it again.
The third aseres hadibris is loisisa shem alakecha lashav.
The Shav,
You're not allowed to say Hashem's name in vain for no reason. Based on that aseres hadibris comes the isser of saying a bracha leva
Levato.
vatal. Now, so we're very cautious about bracha levatala. It says that when Hashem's when the aseres hadibris were given, loisisa shem alakecha lashav was said, the world shook when the strength of this adibra. So we're very cautious about it. So if I'm not sure we said a bracha, don't say it. Safik brachas lahakam. So over here in this case, I'm not sure. Did I hear Tekias? Did I not hear Tekias? Did I hear it properly? Not properly? You could blow again. It's Minat Torah. You could blow again. You have to blow again. But the brachas, you can't say again. Safek brachas. You have any doubt whether you chayiv in a bracha, you don't say the bracha. Klal, gadol, and brachas.
Is there a lot about Tyson?
No, you could do it again, even if it's midrabanan. He writes here. Ain't tzarich l'tkaya. The second day, ain't tzarich l'tkaya. If you want, you could do it, but you're not chayiv.
What about the first day?
There's no issue of you're chayiv because you have safek minat Torah l'chumrah. The first day of Rosh Hashanah is minat Torah.
Yeah.
If you're not sure you heard Tekias, you have to say it. You have to hear Tekias again.
Why you say it's good? But let's say there's an avera because it's something. Maybe you're doing extra.
So
About
it's a
Tosef, is
good
that allowed?
question. Baal Tosef is only when you have kavana to moist.
Yeah.
Kavana that you want to add to it.
I thought I was equating it to the same way that you shouldn't mention God's name in vain. Here they're both like lavin. Don't mention it's a lavin deserves a dibris.
True,
Yeah, but now
Baal
you say
Tosef, you have to have kavana.
Oh, it works different.
Yeah, you have to have kavana l'shem
Yeah.
mitzvah.
Yeah, you don't know. Maybe you didn't.
No, you have to have kavana that you're adding to the mitzvah. Like, let's say someone added a fifth bias to added a fourth bracha to Berachas Kohanim, or you added a fifth bias to the four pashas. And you had a mind to do this for the mitzvah, so you changed the mitzvah. It's Baal Tosef. Over here, you're blowing again because you're not sure. You're not saying I need to do 60 koilas. That's why I'm doing it again. You're doing it because you're not sure you heard the first time or heard properly.
So Baal Tosef doesn't.
No Baal Tosef here because you didn't have kavanah to add to the mitzvah anything. You have to have kavanah to change the mitzvah. Baal Tosef is you have kavanah to change the mitzvah. I added a fourth bracha to Berachas Kohanim because I think that the mitzvah should have a fourth bracha.
That's a real Baal Tosef.
But if I say Berachas Kohanim again because I'm not sure if I did Berachas Kohanim, that's a different story. I'm not doing it l'shem to add it. That I think there should be another Berachas Kohanim should be said twice. I don't think Berachas Kohanim should be said twice. It should be said once. I'm just not sure if I heard it, so I'm doing it twice. That's not a problem. And even with the Rabbanan, when we say you don't have to blow. If you want, you can blow but that you're not chayiv.
Not the Yerusha.
Right, so it's Safek Rabbanan.
Safek Rabbanan.
Exactly.
I hear the rules.
Toiv l'tkoya b'tzad yamin shel
Oh, Zion, right?
in the ending of Vav, the very ending of Vav,
Where is it?
the last two lines of Vav.
Oh, yeah, just listen.
It's best to blow on the right side of your mouth. If you're able to. If you're not able to blow on the right side, it's okay.
What the reason?
Shenemar hasatan oimid al yaminoi. V'hatkiya ma'arbeb sasatan. You want to do it in the satan's ear. He's on your right side.
You want to get him movable.
Zion. V'toy shiyam peh shoy for lamayla. V'lo yatenu l'tzadin. Don't move it to the sides. Shenemar Allah alikim.
To go up.
Again, these two last things are only toiv. They're not chiyuvim. They're not chiyuvim. It's only toiv.
Not mad.
Sivchas. What happens, and this could happen in a shul, in his shul tkaya, someone started to blow. He couldn't do it. He started to blow, and the Baal Tekias couldn't do it. He couldn't. He's trying. He's trying. It's not going. Someone else needs to take over. Yitzka achetach. Someone else should blow instead of it. The second guy can't either do it. It's a difficult shofar. And someone else can do it. Because many people as you want can come up and try. The kulam and all of them don't need to make a bracha again. Why? They all were in shul. They heard the bracha from the first one. Furthermore, bigger chiddush. Even the first Baal Tekias couldn't even manage to blow one tekiah. It was such a difficult shofar. He couldn't even blow one tekiah out from his mouth. Still in all, after he became he had a mind he might see everyone. They all heard the bracha.
And they said, Amen.
right?
Somebody said not Siman Tov, somebody, the Tekias cannot be Tekias on the second one, and third one. Not Siman Tov for the community. You heard such a thing?
Again,
If you try to blow the shofar, you're not going. Second guy can also not. Third guy couldn't get the skill. They said it's not good siman for the community.
yeah, it's not a good simon, but halachically, whoever needs to blow you have to continue until you get someone to blow. It's not the best simon. They say if it's Tekias don't go well, it's not a good simon, you know. People are nervous, right?
When you're allowed to quit.
Abel and Baal, it's Goya packed up.
That was your question.
Misha Shema, what happens if the guy can't blow and no one in shul is about to care? He sees someone outside. Beryl just finished davening in another shul. No. And call him Beryl, come in.
Hindu.
Kimdu. So Beryl comes in. He already heard Tekias. Oh, and he did not hear yet.
He didn't hear
He
you.
didn't hear yet. Aber Baal, it's Goya tafta Mishalei Shammai Berchasei.
What do you have to know?
The last line in Tes. In Ches, I mean.
Oh, that, yeah.
If this guy was walking to another shul and he didn't yet hear, you chapibin, bring him here so he can help blow for you over here.
So what did you do?
He didn't hear bracha. Tekias.
The
He
bracha.
needs to make a bracha for himself. Let him make a bracha. Everyone else heard, but he
had
wanted to
make
be
a block for himself.
He wants to himself. He wasn't there when he heard the brachas. But Mad Vanamurim, when it's talking about Beryl, he wasn't yaitzi yet. Sheshama dayin kol Tekias. Avon kayatzi chivasi shama kar kol Tekias basic nesaches. He davened another shul. He already heard all the Tekias, and you're calling in Beryl to blow for you. What does he need to say again for? Everyone in the shul heard the bracha from the Baal Tekias who can't blow, who for some reason can't blow, and the Beryl already heard in another shul. No one needs to say brachas. The tzibur already heard from the Tekias. There's no one needs.
She doesn't have to make a block.
No. Noyagin shemispal shachis makri say that Tekias of that Tekias mila b'mila. Sheyita b'Tekias. The minig is that the one who davens shachris for the Amid, he calls out the order of the Tekias before the Tekias, word by word. Tekias, Shvarim, Trua, Tekias. So you should not make any mistake, get confused with the order. O minig yafu, the Alter Rebbe comments on that. That's a good minig. I just want to let you know that the minig Chabad is not exactly the way it's brought in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. The minig Chabad is we are makri, but not with speaking.
What?
Not through speaking, with the finger on the place. Show him in the machzor what to say, but the minig Chabad is not to say Tekias, Shvarim.
What's wrong? What's the outlet here?
Maybe it was a minig based on hefsek and things like that. I don't know. It's not really a hefsek because it's in Yonei ha.
Mitzvah.
But maybe that's what I don't know. Maybe as a hirus and hefsek, I don't know. Also, little schar, one more sif. Also, little schar. Let's go to Shofar Rosh Hashanah. You're not allowed to take payment for blowing Shofar Rosh Hashanah. Afilu sachru me'erev yontif. Even if erev yontif they hired you, shunoitul schar yontif. What's the problem? You're not allowed to take schar yontif or like on Shabbos, schar Shabbos. But also mitam shin is bar b'simin shinvav, like the reasons I've been explained in simin shinvav in Hilchos Shabbos. Ayin sham see there. Vim not if you did take payment in iraya simin bracha me'osis schar lo'olah. I want to discuss this a little bit. So we're going to go to Ma'ariv now. I just want to discuss this a little bit. This is a general issue of schar Shabbos schar Yom Tov. You're not allowed to do business in Shabbos Yom Tov. Besides you're doing business in Shabbos Yom Tov, so you're not allowed to earn earnings in Shabbos Yom Tov. The babysitter comes and babysat. She's a Yiddish babysitter. She's not allowed to take payment in Shabbos for work she did in Shabbos. It's called schar Shabbos. Now, the Alter Rebbe does say in that siman, the din is that when is this issue said for when it's not a mitzvah? But if it's a mitzvah, you're allowed to. The babysitter is not a mitzvah, but a mitzvah, let's say Tekias Shofar, or
Well, we-
Balkoida Chazan, the mitzvah, you're allowed to.
So why?
There's a shita which says you're allowed. There's a shita which says you're.
Yeah.
However, even if that sheet that says you're allowed to, you're still not. It's not a simon bracha. You don't get a simon bracha for that money. You have a heter, but you don't see a simon bracha. So the shaila is, how does the oil and Michoel when it comes to Tekias and
Makar gets paid.
Chazan?
And the rabbi, what about the rabbi?
So I'll tell you one of the basic criteria for Schar Shabbos, Schar Yom Tov. Questions how you do it over here, but it's called Havlah. You pay for something the person did during the week. Let's say someone came and babysat for you on Thursday, Friday, and then Shabbos they babysat. On Sunday, you could pay them for Thursday, Friday. When you pay them on Thursday, Friday, give them extra for Shabbos. So you include it in the payment for Shabbos, but you don't say that clearly. It's right. It's called Havlah. You have to be Mavliya. Mavliya from Einschling, and you have to swallow it up. It should not be direct payment for Shabbos and Yom Tov. You're paying for the choil. You pay extra for the choil. So you have to explain. Now, if it's a guy, it's not a problem. Like a cleaning lady, and that the guy is not, the Isser is on the makabel. Now to be noitel schar Shabbos Yom Tov. The guy is not no Isser to be noit. But so you can give the guy the payment to pay for the cleaning lady that came on Shabbos. You could pay them, or came to clean at the janitor, came to clean the shul. You could pay them for the work on Shabbos.
Is it not sell anything on Shabbos?
You know, to sell? No.
No.
Mitzvahs you're allowed.
Aliyah.
Only
I
mitzvahs.
meant selling aliyahs.
Mitzvahs. Only mitzvahs. Mekach a memker of mitzvahs. So now, it says Mivtzoi Cheftzecha. You cannot be involved in your actions, but mitzvahs you could be involved.
So let me just babysitter besides also chazan.
So chazan and shul, if you need a chazan and shul, what they generally do is they try to have the chazan come for slichas. The chazan does slichas, the shul matzah Shabbos, but it's slichas. So then they have that same, the Baal Tefillah for Rosh Hashanah and Kippur also did a tefillah during the week, a chashav tefillah, or a chashav job, some other job he did for you during the week. And then you pay him, and you mavliya during the week. Now, what about Kriyas HaTorah every week, the Baal Koira?
Yeah.
So some people say the Baal Koira every week, you pay him for the preparation. You don't pay him for, which is hard to understand this heter exactly how it works, because what happens if the guy doesn't come to the lane for you? You're going to pay him still? You have to be ready to pay him taka for the preparation.
If he doesn't prepare, you know the whole Torah about.
Right? So you have another
My
issue.
uncle was like this. Never
So
prepared.
then how do you do it?
He was old and he what just said.
But again, remember that the klal is there is an opinion that the oilam is relies on, that it's for a mitzvah, you're allowed to take Schar Shabbos and Yom Tov. How do you deal with the simon bracha of it? That's another story. So there's the Isser and there's the simon bracha. It's also takes Schar Shabbos and Yom Tov.
Why is it?
But if it's a-
why is it?
Tzad mitzad
Is it the choil?
mitzad mekach memker mitzad inyanim doing business on Shabbos, earnings from Shabbos. How do you pay a mikvah on Shabbos? You want to use a mikvah on Shabbos?
No.
Huh?
No.
Havlah. How do you do the havlah? So there's a tshuva that Noidi Yehuda about this already. Because how did the women pay for the mikvah? They use the mikvah Friday night. How did they pay for the mikvah? He says that they're not paying for. They're not paying. You don't pay the mikvah attendee. You pay for the services. You don't pay directly. You're paying for the towel and the wood, things that were used up. You used up someone's. Someone now needs to go and wash the towel again. The mikvah had to be heated up. So there was things that the person, you had certain, like if you took an item from someone on Shabbos, you have to pay back, right? Like you have to pay them back after Shabbos. Let's say you don't have eggs. So you go to the store or someone, you say, can you give me some eggs? You could do that. You pay them after Shabbos. You have to pay back things you took. So you could be mavliya the money for the paying for the mikvah, entry to the mikvah, b'mavliya, the money for the entry to the mikvah, for the mikvah people, by paying for the items,
Service.
the items. So the money goes for the other things that are needed there. So the best way to deal with the Isser is b'havla. If you do it, if it's a mitzvah, you don't need to do it b'havla, but you might want to do it b'havla because you want to get to Siman Bracha. So then try to do it b'havla. So that's the last thing here. The Baal Tekias somehow has to have some type of system worked out where how he gets paid, and the Gabayim might hopefully know these halachas.
How about all the Kiddushim, the waiters,
Same thing.
they get paid Motzei Shabbat or Sunday.
So if they're goyim,
No, Jews with the Yom.
Same thing.
that's a problem. They have to be paid. They have to do something during the week, either before Shabbos or after Shabbos, and you pay them and you tell them this. Shabbos is halachas. We don't pay for Shabbos. We pay you for Sunday. Come and work. My wife would tell the babysitter, "You came worked on Shabbos. Come on Sunday. Take my kids out for an hour on Sunday." On Sunday, when she came back after taking out the kids for an hour, now she gave her a nice amount, which included money for Shabbos. So this was called Bahavla. You're not directly paying for Shabbos. You have a hecker, and you don't pay for directly for Shabbos. That's the Yom Tov is the same thing. Schar Shabbos and Schar Yom Tov.
There's a book in Hebrew, opposite from the Rabbi from Haifa, who been doing it. He wrote in his book that one of the early series of the Rabbi.